To a sky. To the earth. We're all connected.
Hello, sweet souls. Thank you for being here. It is Valentine's Day 2022. Welcome to the podcast. And this is a live streaming opportunity. So I want to encourage everyone out there, no matter where you are, to write, comment, ask a question below. And even if you don't want to write a full question, give us some love, even with an emoji. It'll let us know that you're there. And if you have any questions throughout this beautiful, extraordinary moment in space and time, which is that 4 adults got all their schedules dialed in at the same time. It's a miracle all of its own, especially us musician types. And if you're an artist out there, we'd love for you to comment below what music you love, what music you play, and any other artistic expressions. Because today it's really about creativity, and it's also about getting inspired by what original content is and then what a remix looks like. And some people out there, you hear the word remix, not everyone really understands what goes into creating and producing a remix. So today we get to speak with Theo from Entheo, as you can see the artwork on the screen here. And we also have the original artist that we all co-produced the song Reconcile, Jim and Brenda. So without further ado, let's bring on the dream team. Here we have them. Bring it on. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Good.
Great.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. So this is a 5Q interview. And what this will allow us to do is get a backstory of who the 4 of us are. And let's start off with Theo, who created this extraordinary remix of Reconcile. So let's have you share with everyone. Question 1, what is your journey with music?
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this, Dave. It's beautiful to be here. I've never really done anything like this before, so it's cool. Yeah, my journey with music kind of began very early on in my life, but really in earnest when I was in college. I kind of left. I started playing guitar and singing, and I was a DJ before that. And then I just, at some point, I was listening to some personal growth tape, and they were like, follow your bliss. I think it was a Joseph Campbell thing. And I was like, this is not my bliss. And I ended up leaving nursing school to pursue music full time. And that was in 2008. And ever since then, it's been a long and winding journey. And I could say a lot more about it, but it's been grueling and hard. And I've given up many times, and I've gotten back on the horse many times. And it's just been a deeper and deeper kind of devotion to what brings me to life and what my greatest calling and service is for my life. And so here I am, and it's beautiful to be collaborating with you all. And that is a deeper calling also, is like to collaborate more. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. And I always say that collaboration is my love language. So obviously, case in point, here we are here. All right, Jim, same question. What is your background with music? How did this whole Jim Gelcer journey begin as a musician and artist?
Well, again, also thank you for having me, Dave. And I love the tropical bird sounds in the background.
I could do some field recording, right? We could be on our next song.
Yeah. Well, my musical journey started with me drumming on my mom's pots and pans with chopsticks. And that led to me getting my first drum set and eventually studying jazz at Eastman School of Music. And then it kind of took a little turn when I got my yoga teacher training and started to learn about kirtan and got into that, musical mantra music. Um, so that's sort of my journey. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so kirtan is such a beautiful practice for many people that are probably watching this. You may not have heard that style of music. And of course, it comes from India. It's a call and answer, and there's mantra, and there's beautiful chanting that takes place. And yeah. Okay. Brenda, you're up.
My journey with music. I'm trying to figure out. I've got some real background noise happening here, but I'll talk through. But I'm not sure if there's some little trick that we can. Maybe you can do something. But let's see. I started playing music in university and was a pop music artist for a number of years. 2004, I heard my first mantra. So this is like 15 years later. And everything just said, that's what you're going to do. And I said to the universe, what the heck? I don't even know what mantra and kirtan is. And it was just such a deep knowing. And then I just went on this journey of chanting sacred mantras and doing kirtan and still incorporating English and now more Spanish into my music and loving doing more collaborations with all of you and with others. And just really feeling more than ever the power of music to heal the world and feeling deeply honored to be able to do whatever I can to bring more of it to the world. So that's a little snippet.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Música en español, muy importante.
Sí.
Yeah, claro que sí. So I am in Costa Rica, and Latin America for me has been such a joy to learn about other cultures, other languages. And there's a song right now that is in Spanish that a lot of people play in yoga classes. And so it's beautiful to have not only mantra, which is, Sanskrit from India, but then to have Spanish come into it. It's all this beautiful combination of languages that really uplift my soul personally. So I'm grateful there's more Spanish out there. Reconciliar is the verb to reconcile, which is the song that we're speaking about today. Reconciliación. Hey. All right. Let's kick it off with question number 2. Here we go, Theo. So what inspired you to produce your own music? Once you got lit up and once you received the energy of music, got inspired, at what point was that aha moment, or maybe it was a slow process where you're like, hey, I want to create my own signature sound. I want to start, playing in the laboratory of sound waves to produce Entheo music.
Yeah. It was a long journey to get there, but honestly, it was just the cost of recording in studios. And I just knew that I had so much experimentation that I wanted to do. And I was like, this isn't going to work to pay this amount just to get in there and try my voice in 3 different ways and see what this sounds like. So I knew I had to get my own computer and start playing. And I was a DJ before that, so I knew that I was curious about sound production as well and making beats. So it was very natural. And it was really the combination of acoustic and electronic that really lit me up. And I was like, how do we get these worlds to blend and gel together? And that's been a long and winding journey to get that.
Yes, absolutely. It's that alchemical combination. I always like the equivalent to when you're making a smoothie. Like, what are the ingredients to make the recipe called that final product? Where anyone listening out there that doesn't create music, when you simply push play on your phone and you hear all these sound waves collectively coming into, your mind and your heart and all the feels that you get from music, to recognize that there's a lot of thought and a lot of flow that went into it. And I love what you said about production costs. There is something very empowering about being able to, if you choose at 3 a.m., make music. You don't have to call an
Yeah.
engineer at a studio and say, hey, can you open up? I got this idea. And as we all know, when the divine flow comes in and there's a song idea, you get to take action on that. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jim. So what inspired you to produce your own music in the world?
Well, I think it's, just getting your own voice out there certainly is part of it. But also, I mean, for me, I have a lot of different, I wear a lot of different hats, literally and figuratively. I, as I mentioned, I do the kirtan, the musical mantra chanting, and I also, have a project of like jazz Beethoven that I just released recently, and I also compose music for film and television. So it's all every single project sort of calls out to me in a different way and says, get me out there, help me get out into the world, and that's what I like to do.
And here's a great example of Jim literally wearing a hat. Yes. And that's wonderful. I am actually in this mastermind of musicians, and a lot of people are thinking about the possibility of sync licensing and getting on, soundtracks for TV shows, Netflix shows, even small documentaries, or obviously the dream would be on a motion picture. So I love how you're also looking into that aspect of the music industry, and anyone that knows anyone understands that the technology of music has massively changed over time. And I know all of us probably were in the world of compact discs, and then now everything's streaming, and then it's about,
Right.
having proprietary rights to your music and getting it out there and having other people utilize that. And that's, so if you're listening out there and you love the song that we're going to share with you today, of course, we would love to have a conversation about licensing.
Absolutely.
All right, Brenda. So what inspired you to become your own artist and create your own divine music?
Well, it was just a calling or a draw from childhood, teenage years. And I myself have not delved into producing my own music. I do a lot of my own pre-production at home, but throughout the years, from my very first tape, we did a tape in 1990 with Julia Propeller, my band back in London, Ontario. From the very first tape until, my last single, I've always worked with a producer. Just absolutely loved the magic of the artist and the producer combination. Yet there's also a part of me that's like, I'm gonna start doing some more of my own and just really delving more into that. But I love working with others, but I love this idea of being able to just wake up at 3 a.m. and do the actual recording for the actual song whenever I want. So you guys are inspiring.
Yes. And also you creating music and you producing the ideas and the sounds as a songwriter. That's a part of it. But of course, there is the actual musical production side where you're the engineer, you're choosing the sounds, you're recording on your own. And yeah, there's definitely an aspect of that. It takes a lot of time, and very much like learning a world language, right? It's my advice to everyone. There's 3 ways to learn anything: practicar, 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 right? That's how you learn a language. And there's a lot of buttons and there's a lot of ways to troubleshoot how to, it's how a seed song process. And I love what you're sharing, Brenda, where to have someone in that studio, a magical moment, you have an idea and that person goes with it. And that collaborative spirit is really beautiful, and have a phenomenal memories of other people, supporting me in that process. And sometimes it's great to know your zone of genius and then have other people do that. Wonderful. All right, let's jump into question number 3. All right, Theo, also known as Entheo, what makes your music unique?
I don't know how to answer this question. I feel like that's a question for people who hear my music. So I'm going to throw that back to you and see if maybe you want to clarify it, or if someone else has an answer, because I don't know. That's my honest answer.
Yeah, I'll phrase it another way. What are the top, if you were to do like a word list of adjectives, when people come up to you and they listen to your music, are they saying it's etheric? Is it cosmic? Is it inspirational? Like, what are some key words, how fans or followers or people that get inspired by your music, what are some like common thread words, like soundtrack music? What is it that people share with you?
Yeah, sometimes I get that it's healing. Like that there's some people who will contact me to use it, who want to use it for their guided meditations or something like that, will say it really touches them. Like the melodies or the frequencies in it really move them deeply, and they've had healing experiences. And I know it's been used in medicinal ceremonies, like with plant spirits and things of that nature. So I know that it's being used in healing work as well. So that might be partly why it's having that impact. And so that's also partly been my journey with creating music, is that it's been a healing practice for myself, and I've been deeply inspired by, plant spirit medicines, and that's what helped me surrender to my path and this unfolding of like stepping off the cliff into like, I don't know how this is going to work out, but here we go. And so that's something I could say about that. And it sounded like Brenda had something to share on
that. All right. Yeah, go ahead, Brenda.
As soon as the question was posed to you, Theo, I thought, wow, I have some really great insight into what makes his music unique. For myself, I've seen you, Theo, and heard your music like since probably 2008, right? Like, and when we'd be sitting around, we knew each other years ago, and sitting around in the living room, sharing songs. And what would happen with your music for me was that I would automatically, like, first of all, I would say, what a voice, what an incredible voice. And then there would be, this music is coming so purely from a place of connection. Like, you would just go into this space inside of you that was so pure and so true. And I would just be like, okay, here we are. We have arrived. Like, I would get to connect in with my own, that space inside of me through you. And then you moved away. I don't think we saw each other for years. And then I'm listening to a playlist, and Entheo comes on. And I'm like, I know that voice. I know that voice. And it's like, it was electronic ambient dance kind of music was the type of song. And I was like, I love this. I feel like I know this person. Turned out I did. And again, right away, zoning right into the center of my DNA, into that place that belongs to all of us. So those are my words about your music, what makes it unique.
Oh, so beautiful. Yeah. And that live element to you singing and performing, I feel like that's such a gift that Brenda has been able to experience that. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear that, because I feel very similarly about when I hear you sing. There's a certain quality. It's like, it's a magnetic, it just draws me in, and I just feel like I'm right there in this bubble of just like, it's just bliss and beauty. And I just love your voice. So I was so happy to get to like work so intimately with your voice and so many different layers of your voice. So like when I had the opportunity, when Dave asked me if I wanted to remix this, I was like, oh yes, any opportunity to work with that voice and just the healing frequencies that come through you is really an honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, Jim, you're up. What makes your music unique, or what are some ways that people have shared with you the impact that your music has had on them?
Yeah, again, I feel like that's like Theo. That's something that other people can answer better than me. You know, I have had a lot of people say that they have found my music healing, and that it's helped them through difficult times, which is very, very beautiful, and something that's, you know, very touching to hear, and certainly something that makes you feel like everything you're doing is worthwhile. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a really tough question. I think it's a combination of all of your background. You know, like I I was born in South Africa, so I kind of grew up with African rhythms, and my mother is Middle Eastern, so I have those rhythms as well, and that sort of spirit in me, and then, you know, my own upbringing with you know, 70s pop soul. Growing up with that has influenced me profoundly, and I think that the fusion of all of those things together is what my music is all about, I guess.
Beautiful. I love that. And especially with the South African upbringing, and then adding, and, you know, for a lot of people, when you think, you know, I'm from the cornfields of Iowa. So for people that might be watching from my home state, when they think of music, there's so many different styles that we grew up with in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So one thing I will share for your music, Jim, is that you're really bringing in that divine, sacred message from mantras and chanting. And then you're bringing that into you as a musician. I remember the origin of this song, Reconcile, the original version. You sent over so many beautiful stems and so many different instruments. And so you're multi-instrumental, and that's something unique, because there are musicians out there that play maybe one instrument, or they even producers that don't even play music traditionally, but they produce and they put together all their samples, and you know, like especially electronic dance music, there's a lot of people do that. So I feel like your uniqueness is being multi-instrumental, bringing in those messages, really opening up your throat chakra, and as a man, to really bring that divine sound into this space where, you know, when I first got introduced to kirtan music, and the live experience is really powerful. It's like, wow, everyone's chanting and singing together, and not everyone has yet got the chance to experience that. So that's something I'll say. Yeah. And I'll tag you, Brenda, because I know you wanted to say some words about Jim as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I feel like Jim has always been really inspiring to me in terms of your ability, your musical ability is like really deep. And I always loved, like, I heard, even before I heard your kirtan, I knew of your jazz drumming and your music. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, this guy is great. And he's a kirtan artist too. What? And so to me, the combination of the heart and the skill, the musical skill, has always, like, the heart and the devotion with that is just such a beautiful combination. So I've always really thought, yeah, that dude.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, I love that. So beautiful. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to as well. Like, a lot of us, from a technical music theory standpoint, did any of you take music theory growing up?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Nice.
I'm
Theo's like half and half.
Theory geek.
Nice. So, you know, there's like, it's almost the left brain can get really technical, circle of fifths and major minor chords and relative minors and majors, and you got your C major, you got your A minor. So you can get into that space. But then I love what you're saying, Brenda, where it's this heart space, right? So then the right brain is the creative, and you really start to meld those worlds together, as well as having acoustic sounds. And then, as Theo was mentioning, you bring in the electronic component. So there's beautiful combinations that can transpire there. Okay, so either we're going to have Brenda respond to share what other people are saying about the music, or maybe Theo and Jim, or we'll do a little combo. How about I highlight you first, Brenda? So the question is, number 3 here, what makes your music unique? Or in other words, how are people sharing with you the impact your music has had?
I think one of the main things that I hear people say is that there's something about the fact that I used to be a folk pop writer. And then I discovered kirtan after that. And I've heard people say it feels accessible to me, like not to me, to the person saying it. It feels accessible to us, like we're familiar with these types of melodies. We're familiar with the way the song is structured. And so they feel like they can get into the Sanskrit mantra maybe a little more easily from a Western point of view. So that's something that I've heard people say about the music.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I have heard your voice, it does have, I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Iowa, and I always feel like Iowans and Canadians get along really well. Like, know what it's like to work the land and all the seasons that we get to experience. And yeah, so the folk background and that singer-songwriter, and then you bring that into the kirtan world and the global yoga movement. I absolutely feel that a lot. And Himalaya loves your music, and she plays it often, and fellow Canadian. And so, and when it's I would say it's very calming and warming to my soul and my heart. Sometimes we'll wake up in the morning, we'll have a few kirtan songs, like, and it just is that extra layer to get you deeper into that essence of, like, what's your intention, what's your purpose. Like, it's very grounding because of that background of folk music. And for me, that's how I receive your music. So,
Cool.
All right.
I
Jim
just,
or
want
Thea?
to say, I just want to say also about Brenda that, Brenda, you are also very inspiring to me as well. Yeah, I mean, first of all, you have, just a beautiful, beautiful voice. I love your voice. And also, I think, you're inspiring to me in the way that you manifest your work. Like, you seem to be very, very focused and driven and in a really good way. And I find that very inspiring. So I just want to share that with you.
Thanks, Jim. I'm a Capricorn.
Yes. Yeah, I just want to say, like, that was what you spoke to, Brenda. Like, that was what drew me in to your music at first, and I've had a hard time connecting with kirtan, and because I was raised on pop music, I'll just echo that, like, it really made it accessible. And I think that's what is happening these days with these ancient teachings and these ancient technologies like singing and mantra and these teachings that are so old. Like, you're like creating a bridge between the future and the ancient with this interesting thing called pop music and these simpler melodies and these simpler rhythms that are more accessible to the modern brain, I think, these days. So I love it. You're just like, you made it so appealing, and that it was that magnetism that just like drew me in to your music. And yeah,
Thank you.
love it.
Fantastic. All right. We are already on question number 4. Here it comes. So this is a great one. This is a little more philosophical as well, because we're all here inhabiting this earth. We're all going through what we're going through on the micro level, on the macro level. So through all of it, with the theme of creativity, how do you integrate your art, your music as a lifestyle? Because as we know, life reflects art and art reflects life. So for example, this song that we created collectively, Reconcile, like, how did that word, I know it really landed when we came up with the title. It was like, we're in this place of almost reconciling with whatever shadow work we've done, with whatever ways that we're out of integrity or the world's out of integrity, however we view life. And when I heard that moment, and it's the month of love and reconciliation, forgiveness, all of these are themes. So I personally feel that life and art all intertwine. And I love what you were saying earlier about being a bridge, right? And that's what we get to be as artists, because throughout the history of time, my mom used to teach a college course called Music Appreciation, where it really impacts the world, and the world gets to shift consciousness, awareness, because of the music, because of the art. It shifts energy. and it allows for us to, sing along and be in a collective om or a chant or in a deep space of meditation. So I'd love for each of us to share. We'll start with you, Theo. So how do you integrate your art as a lifestyle and vice versa?
Whoa, that's a deep question. It's cool. I live in a community here in Portland called One Door Land. And the kind of the tagline for our whole community over the 10 years that I've been here has been life as art. And we're a community of artists and healers. And what brought us together was that we were all really passionate about transformation, self-transformation, self-realization, and art as a vehicle for our own transformation and to also support the culture of transformation. So it's been something I've been really deeply contemplating, and I think as a personal process, each piece is its own alchemical process. So it's like I become a different person every time I create something. And then the nice thing about that is I also get better at doing the thing that I love and making better art. But it really is so much of what's happening on the planet is this rebalancing of the masculine and feminine. And one thing I heard recently is that masculine is goal oriented, so like product, and feminine is process oriented. And so bringing that process back to my creative process has been a big thing, and not so much focused on like, oh, this has to be a finished thing, and the perfectionism kind of coming in and being like, oh, it's not good enough, but really honoring the fact that like I made something and I became a different person in the process of doing that, and how I do that gets more and more refined, like being gentle with myself when I make something I don't like, which has happened a lot. Or being willing to put something out there that I don't like, or being willing to create with certain sounds or frequencies that don't necessarily turn me on creatively, but learning to be creative with the more prickly edges of life, and what the ego thinks it likes or doesn't like. It's been a huge part. I could say so much more, but I'll leave it there and throw it back to the rest of the group.
I love that. And I'll put up the artwork that we have, because when you mentioned masculine, feminine, when you see the two outer energetic worlds that come together within the moon and this celestial being, it really brings in those two sides. As earlier I was saying, like your left brain for music theory, right brain for creativity, the left and the right, like the chaos, the order, the masculine, the feminine. So all of those coming together is exactly what reconciliation is about. So I love how you mentioned that, and how glorious that you get to be in a community where people are having those conversations in Portland. That feels really encouraging, that there's that deeper, let's move forward in human consciousness, and how can we all come together, and how can art be the catalyst to make that impact.
Yeah,
really
Maybe
beautiful.
we can also say that El Tripador, Adrian, did the artwork for that.
Yes,
it's so beautiful. I love the artwork on this.
Yeah, it's so
Adrian.
lovely.
Yes, Adrian.
Yeah.
Sí, Adrián,
So
el
too.
señor, también mexicano.
Sí.
So great. Fantastic. Okay, thank you for that, Theo. All right, Jim, I'll have you share what your take is with the question, which I'll put up on the screen again, which is, how do you integrate your art, your music, as a lifestyle?
Well, I really like what Theo said. It's sort of about, going easy on yourself when you do something that's not great. That reminded me of just sort of the yogic lifestyle of acceptance, just accepting you as you are. I mean, every day is perfect, and everyone is perfect. And so, whatever happens is perfect for you at the time. So that's a skill. That's a skill that we spend a lifetime cultivating and continue to cultivate. Just accepting what comes, and then being able to just accept it and let it go, and then move on to the next thing. Put something out in the world and say, this is perfect for what it is, and then move on to the next thing. And I'm sure that many of us, have listened to things that we did, years ago, and said, wow, that's like, I can't believe, whatever that, I feel like I've grown so much as a musician. But whatever that is at the time, it's perfect for what it was, for who you were at the time. And I like to kind of think about it that way. And that's, but it's, it's like yoga. It takes work, and it's a lifelong process. So that's my thought on that right now.
Yes. Practice, practice, practice. All is coming. I love that. Yeah. And what I love too about your perspective is, it's always now o'clock, right? We're in this moment. And this is this idea that this is riff you came up with on the guitar. Here's this vocalization that came through at the moment, and you really get to release it. And I really feel that you're speaking to the perfectionist within all of us to be able to say, hey, honor what that chapter in your life represented. And all of us here have made multiple songs, multiple albums. And so for us to really recognize that progression and that progress, and it's that stamp, imprint. When I hear certain songs, that song from the movie Top Gun, Take My Breath Away, all I can do is think of middle school dance, me like holding my hand around the hips of this girl that I had a crush on. And so like music is a teleportation device, and it just like launches you there. So that's what I love about your sharing. Like, you can take you to these different parts and pieces of your life. And it's about remembering who we are. We are in this moment. We're all evolving, we're expanding. And so that's the beauty of co-creation as well, the synergy between the four of us. So lovely. All right. Brenda, how do you integrate art as a lifestyle?
Well, I love everything that everyone shared. And I'm just thinking from the perspective of art, as being like, just, there's so many ways of creating art in the world. And even though music is my main way, or the way that I, it's my main way. Sometimes music and writing kind of goes a little bit dormant, or it goes into like incubation mode, or it's like the butterfly in the chrysalis. It just gets really quiet, and I'm not really picking up my guitar that much, or I feel like songs aren't coming through, which used to freak me out years ago. I'm like, oh, what am I not creating? And now I just kind of turn to another way of expressing art in my life. So I'll be writing more poetry, or taking a lot of photos. I live in a beautiful place here in Mexico, so I'm out taking photos, or I'm sketching. And these are all things that I wouldn't necessarily think of as, oh, this is my main offering to the world. But what it is it's a way of expressing art in my life. And I just feel like we can, like I say to people when they want to play music, but they're like, I don't want to be like a professional musician, I just want to play music. Then I think then just do it. Just sing around the house, sing, there's all these ways we can just be creative and make things and create things, and doesn't have to be the way we thought it was going to be. So I'm trying to just really, or I just am diversifying just for my own joy, and getting out of my way, not needing to be perfect or be a professional at all these other things. So that's a little take on that.
That's lovely that you bring photography into the conversation as well, because as we're giving a big shout out for Adrian El Tripador for the artwork, and a lot of us musicians, I see Jim, you have a beautiful art piece behind you, right? So it's that visual art or taking photos. And when we get to, as musicians, be expressive in other platforms like poetry, as you're sharing, Brenda. I feel it's really beautiful because it almost gives us like the different arms of Durga, right? We get to play and dance in other aspects of who we are as these multi-dimensional beings that are consistently witnessing the world, right? And then that photography you took, that could inspire a song, and then the song could inspire a poem, and then the poem that you had written could go into the lyrics of a song. So I love how there's all these different ways that you cross-pollinate art as a lifestyle. It's really beautiful what you shared.
And Brenda, maybe one of those photographs will end up being on your next album or something. Like, I released a single last year, and I was looking for people to design the cover, and then you know what? I just found one of my own photos that I thought, you know, this actually captures what I want. So you know, the same might happen with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And that's the repurposing too is always fun, right? To grab something that you've done in the past. Actually, I see this really cool photo of you, Brenda. I'm going to pull up for people to see. And this is on your Instagram. So this is a mural, and that's art itself, right? Like you being in your element and witnessing a place, and you're swimming, right? You could be in the sea there. There's all these different interpretations. Art's in the eye of the beholder, or the ear of the beholder if it's music.
I took that photo, well, with the timer. Yeah, so that's one the kind of creative, like people were going to walk by on the street, and I had the camera over on the other side, and there's cars. Like, let's hope the timer works. So it was kind of a fun experiment.
It worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, so that's what's fun too. And anyone that's listening right now too, if you are on any social media platforms, even Instagram, Facebook, Talk, it doesn't matter. You can always add our music to a reel, or you can put it into a story or post our music. And that's what's fantastic about the music industry these days is you get that streaming access. So feel free to search for a song, just type in Reconcile Entheo remix, and it would pop up and you can add it. So that's what I love about how music can then mesh up with that photo, for example. And yeah, I love how it all comes together. Beautiful. We do have a couple people that give us some love here. Looks like this is a friend of yours, Brenda. Love your music.
Oh, thank you.
Jordanos. And then the Chance gave us a beautiful heart emoji.
Thank you. The Chance. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so we are at our final question, but before we do that, I feel like it'd be a good moment to give everyone a 2-minute clip of Reconcile. How's that sound?
Great. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic.
Let's go.
All right, without further ado, Reconcile Entheo remix. song is streaming on all platforms. So we encourage you to go to your favorite app, whatever that is, and find Reconcile. And so let's go into our last and final question, question 5, which is how may we find you online? So we'll start off with you, Theo. What's the best way for us to connect with you?
You can find Entheo on Spotify. Also have a website that's entheomusic.com that has some of my acoustic stuff and some dance music stuff. But you'll find the dance music also on Spotify. And those are the two main ways. I'm not super active on Instagram or TikTok or anything like that. It's mostly Spotify. So go check it out.
Oh, fantastic. And I'll show everyone your website as well. Love your logo. I love how your logo completely intertwines with the theme of the artwork, right? So you have like these two sides, and then here with the artwork piece of Reconcile.
Yeah, and it really is the logo that we have. It was designed. The swirls were designed by my friend Elijah Parker, and it really is the masculine. The masculine is the phi spiral with the mathematics and the lines, and then the feminine is the stars and sort of the wildness and the swirl on the right side. So it's a reflection of the reconciliation that we're all a part of.
Beautiful. That is entheomusic.com. So anyone out there that is listening, feel free to type in entheomusic.com, as you can see below here. Wonderful. And we have a couple more comments here. This is what's fun about being live. And one of the comments is from Tayana, enjoying this interview so much and resonate with all I'm hearing about the diversity of creator expressing. Love you, Brenda. You, this all touches my heart deeply. Reconcile, wow, tears, aching, love, and joy. So everyone take a deep breath in for that.
You.
Thank you. Love the shout outs, Mary Kay. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay, so Jim, how may we find your content online and everything that you're up to?
Well, just on my social media. I'm also on Spotify. And in my social media, I just have one kind of link that I use, which is the in my bio. And if you click on that, you can connect with everything: my Twitter, my Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and then Apple Music, and any other special projects that I have going on are also there. Bandcamp, yeah, I've got, and then here's the Entheo remix, which we're also excited about, and the focus of this call, and other pages where you can find out about me. I'm also teaching a weekly yoga class on Insight Timer, which is amazing. It's been so fantastic. I've really, really been enjoying it. I actually taught this morning, and I had people from, it was 8 a.m. Eastern time, but I had someone actually in, I think, might have been Portland, but someone woke up at 5 a.m. to take the class. And then I had like people in the Netherlands and all over. So yeah, it was really nice.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, this is Insight Timer for anyone out there that happens to be on this app, and look up Jim Gelcer. And
you can also you can also just go to the website on your browser and find me there and take the class on a browser.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll make sure I put that up for everyone to find you and all the places and spaces that we can, discover one another. And I will put this banner up. So it would be pico.link/Jim Gelcer, right? And then that takes you to all the possibilities. I did see that people could sign up for your newsletter, which is great.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Thank you,
Okay, Dave. Brenda, you're next. How may people find you online? What's the best way? What's your website?
Well, it's brendamcmorrow.com. And you can, I think on the website, you'll find the links to all the ways, YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And it has a link so that you can sign up for my newsletter. And yeah, Spotify, if you just put in Brenda McMorrow, it's everything's kind of all spread around all the platforms. So
yeah, down on the bottom, people can follow you, all the places, sign up for the newsletter for updates. That's great. Yeah, that's one of the ways I love to stay in connection with people out there. And I know you do as well, Brenda, Jim, and Theo, is, have people get on your newsletter list, have people reach out in other ways to stay connected. So we encourage you, and you can see below, it's brendamcmorrow.com. And excellent. So any closing words before we wrap this wonderful moment up?
I just want to say that it looks like we got a comment from my mom, which I really...
Hey, big shout out to mom. Hey, Esther, how are you?
Yeah.
Thank you. That warms my heart. I love Jim's music, of course, and look forward to hearing the rest of you.
Thanks, sir.
My mom's in Tel Aviv right now, so that's cool that she's logging.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, mom. So wonderful. I love that. Yeah, this is what's fun about live streaming. We get to have these interactions and energy exchange, international, of course, all over the world. And yeah, and that's what's powerful for us as global artists, is to recognize that wherever you are, as long as you have the internet, which is in most places in the world, you get to stream music. And it's always a joy for us to see who's out there listening. And, the four of us, I know, check our emails, we check our DMs and all those messages, and as we see them coming through live. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about this particular project we all collaborated on. And if you have any other questions at all, we're here to support. And so any last words before we leave?
Dave, you got some love from someone on Facebook.
Oh, great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Mucho amor.
Mucho amor. I just want to say thanks, Dave, for having us. DTO. Thanks for
DTO.
organizing all of this, and thanks to everybody.
The maestro.
Yes, my pleasure. Anyone wants to check out my music, of course, dtomusic.com, at DTO Music. And we encourage you to find the song Reconcile and to add it to any of your social media posts. That's how more and more people can find out what we're up to, and then add it to playlist on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever your favorite musical app is. That's always a great way. And as always, sharing is caring. So even in this moment, if you want to simply hit the share button in the Facebook link right now and share this interview and support for artists that are here to put our energy towards raising the vibrations of the planet. So
this
right.
This project was such a pleasure to be involved with, on every level. Just really working with wonderful people who are also very, very talented musicians and creators, and it was just a joy.
Equally felt.
Agreed.
Colleen gives some more love for Brenda.
That's my mom.
Oh,
hey. You and I, we have to get some family love.
That's my mom right now. Mom, where are you?
Hey, 50% though, 50-50. That's like the whole lead us back to
a lot of moms.
Yeah, exactly. Half of us, right? But it's kind of like the artwork. There's half and half, right? So beautiful. Well, thank you everyone that was here on the live. Here, of course, the four of us, and thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Theo. Thank you, Jim. And sending many blessings your way. And I will play that clip again for anyone that wasn't here earlier. So this is a 2-minute sample as we say hasta luego. I hope to see you next time. Many blessings to everyone.
Bye, Mom.
Everyone.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom.
Happy Valentine's Day. Love you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Day.